guess what? We're live. It's Friday. It's 8 PM British Summer Time. And we are going to have a debate about the week's news. We do it every week. Don't forget to join in the chat. Join in, even in comments if you're watching this after it's been on air. But then subscribe and then make sure that you are here next time live. Anyway, what a week it was for the 24th of June 2022 or 2022. Started off weird because that there is Lewis Hamilton. He went and bought a Genesis console. It's a Genesis 2 console, which is basically Mega Drive 2, but it was in Canada. And he bought the Ayrton Senna game and he played it before they started the qualifications at last weekend's Canadian Grand Prix, where he did better than his teammate, which is unusual this year. Hiya Angela, I'm fine, thank you. Hope you are too. And Russell went out on slicks when he should have stayed out on intermediates. Either way, Hamilton got on the podium as well at the end of the race for the only second time this year, I think. Mainly because other people dropped out, but it was all because of Ayrton Senna and the Genesis version of Super Monaco Grand Prix. And if you say it's anything other than that, then you're obviously a liar. We've got some, staying in sport, we've got some breaking news, and that is Wayne Rooney has quit as manager of Derby County. Couldn't care less. Burnley Football Club has got Vincent Kompany as its new manager. Couldn't care less. Yeah, it's going to be one of them weeks, isn't it? But there is stuff going on that's moderately important. For example, in France, Macron, who won... I don't understand how it works. I think... If you think of it, the House of Commons and the House of Lords, then you can vote for both of them, and you have to have them both on your side for you to get in order to get stuff through. Because he won the last election, which was only a couple of months ago, but then he's lost this election, so he hasn't got a majority anymore. But he won the anyway. French politics is bonkers, but yeah, apparently, well, it's just bonkers. Now, we know that the French farmers and all that, they love a good protest. They love, like the fishermen love blockading. Oh, we went off a bit then. Are we back on again? The fishermen love blockading ports and things like that. They love all that kind of thing over there, don't they? Well, it's caught on. This is the Netherlands, and those are tractors. And basically, they have been protesting because the price of diesel has gone up so much. A bit like it has everywhere, let's be honest. So yeah, they blocked the motorways and whatnot, protesting vehemently about the fuel prices and fuel hikes. Now, it's not only in Europe. This is Ecuador. Ecuador. That wasn't Ecuador, was it? I don't know. Anyway, they too are protesting fuel price increases, but they're doing it in a better way because look how many people are piled onto that one lorry, whereas the Netherlands tractors, there was only one person on average in each tractor. Well, that's much better value for money. And if you're protesting about prices of fuel, then you don't want to waste it because whoever you're protesting to can't do anything about it anyway. We got a new leader of the army in the UK this month, and at the beginning of the week he sent a letter out telling all the servicemen and women to be ready to oh no, I can't remember whether there isn't. Yeah, there's always a protest somewhere about something. That's what we do. We just protest. We're humans. He's told the British troops to prepare for European war against Russia, and named Russia as well as the protagonist. So yeah, that was slightly disturbing, in a slightly disturbing sort of way. We will have to see what becomes of that. However, the other side of Europe, Lithuania, which is where is it? Oh, it's just there. My hand's gone. But anyway, it's there. Where that little red line is. That is Lithuania, up to where it roughly says Poland. And that red line is the gap between Belarus, who is a friend of Russia, and I didn't know Russia had a little chunk, about that big, of Russian territory, which is surrounded by non-Russian countries. One would have assumed that it would all have been either remain Russian or have gone to like Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, Poland, or whatever. But anyway, it hasn't. And the way they get the stuff to the people, the Russian people in that area, is they have a train. And now the Lithuania have said they cannot transport goods across their country in protest at the war. And Russia have said to Lithuania, let us do this, or it will end up very badly for Lithuania. Now, I don't think Russia's actually got the ability to actually start another war somewhere else. They haven't really done that well in the one war they're doing in a small poor country. But you'll find that Lithuania is not as poor as Ukraine is. It's a much more vibrant country. So you'll just have to be wary if Russia do attack Lithuania. And that would possibly bring out the World War, which is what we were talking about before. And what the new British Army commander is actually saying about stuff. So yeah, it's worrying times, but I don't think anything's going to particularly happen anytime soon. So I think we should be okay. I mean, it's not all doom and gloom. I mean, finally, President Trump is getting some attention. They have got the January the 16th hearings, where Trump and his family have to testify that they did not instigate or cause problems in America after the 2019 elections, which obviously they did. So yeah, that could be good, and there could be charges coming towards ex-President Trump at some point. One hopes there is. Another thing that's gone on this week, and I think we mentioned it last week because it was like breaking news last week, there was a flight going to Rwanda with some failed refugees on it, and it got stopped by the European Court of Human Rights. One judge in Brussels said that the plane can't take off, blah 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 blah, so it couldn't do. And everyone's saying, oh, this is ridiculous because we've left the European Union. Well, we have left the European Union, but you've got to remember that the European Court of Human Rights has got nothing to do with the European Union. It might be in the same building or next to the same building, but it's not the same thing, and we are still part of the Court of Human Rights. And now they're on about possibly making new human rights laws here where we don't have to listen to the European human rights. And again, this confuses me no end. I mean, I voted Brexit, but what you do is you keep the things that are good and you get rid of things that are bad. So all the crap about, bananas have to be a certain curve and all that. I mean, it was all rubbish. Calling sausages and all that kind of thing. That's the stuff we want to get rid of. I mean, it wasn't a thing anyway. But the thing you want to keep is all the good stuff. So, for example, the laws about animal welfare and all that kind of stuff. And I can't think that Britain is less... what's the word? We treat animals with more respect, even in the slaughterhouses, than I would imagine many European countries do, particularly the poorer ones. Which is why I don't understand why there's this border on the Irish Sea, because we've been in the European Union for decades. We've had all the laws for decades. We've not changed any of the laws, or many of the laws. So why the hell would we go back on animal rights to send stuff to Ireland, to then go to Northern Ireland, to go to Southern Ireland, to end up in Europe, when it just doesn't make sense. And it's the same thing with the European Court of Human Rights. It should be something that, it shouldn't be the European Court of Human Rights, it should just be the Court of Human Rights. And everyone in the world should be able to have a court of human rights that they can go to if they're being abused, or if they're being victimised for things like that. So yeah, that's what's going on. Everyone said, "Oh, it's because we left the EU, we should be doing that." Well, yeah. I mean, we haven't really enamoured ourselves to many other people, have we? This is the Windrush scandal, which is basically when, in the 1950s, 1960s, England decreed that many people from the Commonwealth, which include a lot of West Indian countries, Jamaica and that kind of thing, could come over here to help us post-war, to rebuild the country, to work in the national, well, it wasn't national health then, but to work in the hospitals and do the jobs and all that kind of stuff. So they all got invited over, and then, you know, like 10 years ago or whatever, people go, "Oh my god, a minute, why are all these people here?" And it all got really nasty. Anyway, they've now put this nice statue, which is in Waterloo Railway Station. I have no idea why it's in Waterloo Railway Station, because it's Windrush. They come on a ship. One would have assumed it would have been near a docks. One would assume it would be near a docks. But it's not near a docks. It's in Waterloo Station in London. So, no idea what that's about. No idea why that's the thing. And no idea why the family have stood on the luggage. It's a very bizarre thing, but it's long overdue, and we shouldn't be in the situation where people who we as a country invited over are now being told that they're not welcome anymore. It's a joke. Talking of which, Joe Lycett, he's been questioned by the police after a person who went to one of his live tour shows was offended by a joke that Joe Lycett said on stage, and reported him to the police. So the police questioned him, because they have to. Nothing came of it. There'll be no further action or anything, but it's kind of showing now where we are in the world, where people pay to go and see someone and then get offended by them, when, if you know anything about Joe Lycett, you know I mean, he's not Bernard Manning, but he certainly isn't what you call a clean comedian. You know, he's no Bob Monkhouse. He is, some good references there for anyone over the age of 80. But he is a very cheeky, sweary comedian. And I follow him on Instagram, and he does his garden updates every now and then, and they are filth. I can't even repeat some of the stuff he says, never mind all of it. Absolute filth and depravity, and hilarious at the same time. And if I went to see him, I would expect that kind of stuff on stage, because when you're on the telly, they have to, you know, rein it in a little bit. You know, he's presenting the One Show, or the British Bee thing, or whatever it was, or when he's going, he's doing the thing now where you go around with him into different countries, or is it? No, he's not. I don't know. But either way, all that is toned down, because obviously it's on the telly. But you can't be offended by someone you've paid money to see who's an offensive comedian. This is where the PC is gone beyond mad, and we need to rein it in as soon as possible, if not sooner. I mean, I'm not suggesting we get all the ladies in cardigans against a wall and shoot them, but, you know, if needs must. Oh no, that'd be offensive now. Now they're all going to say, "Oh, you can't say stuff like that." Anyway, on a very serious note, in Afghanistan, which is having a hell of a time at the moment. I mean, I remember Afghanistan when the USA went into it, then Russia went into it, then the Taliban took over it, and then Blair and Bush went into it, completely messed it up. And then when they pulled out, the Taliban took over again. And now it's had not one, but two pretty substantial earthquakes. Now, in any other country, a 6 point something magnitude earthquake would be dangerous and scary and cause damage. But in a country like Afghanistan, where the infrastructure is negligible, where the buildings that people live in were built 300 years ago on the dry stone wall with bits of wood stuck on the top for roofs, a 6 magnitude earthquake is deadly. And they reckon over 1,000 people have already passed away. I mean, I can imagine there's villages that we don't know about yet that maybe everyone has passed away in. So we could be talking tens of thousands of people. But what do? We're sending over humanitarian aid to the country, but they don't want to send money or anything like that because the Taliban will just buy weapons with it. But are the Taliban that twisted, if that's not the right word, but that misguided that they think that that's what the money's going to be for and they need to buy weapons to crack down on their people, or would they actually use the money to help rebuild the country? Because they did say when they took over this time round that they were better than what they were last time, and they were going to treat people more fairly. They've slowly reneged on a lot of that, including the girls at school, secondary girls at school, not allowed in. People having to wear full burqas, women having to wear full burqas, not go out without the husbands, blah blah blah. So they have they have gone back on a lot of the stuff that they said they were going to do because they were better than what they were previous, because it's different people running it. But it does seem to be going backwards, and something like this is just the last thing that anyone needs. And to think they had one, and then a couple of days later, i.e. today, they've had another earthquake. It's just terrifying. Tragedies all over the world at the moment. Meanwhile, in the UK, what's that one? Oh yeah, we've got strikes going on. We have got the RMT, which apparently is the rail union. Who knew? They are striking about safety, it says on that poster. Now, if you watched the Question Time on BBC, it's available on iPlayer, the leader of the RMT, sorry, whoa, flashback, who is this gentleman here in the middle. He's called, where is he? Mick Lynch. And he looks like a 70s throwback. He's even got a minder, i.e. the guy next to his raised fist, who's stood next to him all the time. And he too, it does feel like we're back in the Arthur Scargill era. And the stuff he's coming out with is absolute codswallop. We don't want any redundancies that we have to take. Wording's gone out of my head. But we want everything to stay the same, but we want things to improve. Well, things improve by making people compulsory. By making people compulsory redundant. They've done that for years, because ticket officers now, you go up to the machines and beep, 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 and all that kind of stuff. You don't need as many guards on trains. You don't need the guys chucking the coal into the fire anymore. You don't need the guys putting the water in the top so that the steam engines... I mean, things move on. We need to move on. And he is such a 70s throwback. And the stuff he was coming out with on the Question Time yesterday was... Well, it was a 70s throwback. It was like we've gone time travelling, which is ironic considering what I'm doing with my walk around videos. I mean, another thing that we're time travelling with as well, although it's slightly different, is Kate Bush. It's number one, finally, with Running Up That Hill because of Stranger Things, which is a Netflix programme I've never watched. I saw the clip on the Celebrity Gogglebox and I thought, I might have to watch Stranger Things now. But I've got 3.5 series to catch up on to the bit where this has happened. So yeah, I assume Stranger Things is set in the 80s stroke 90s. Some girl is being possessed by something and starts floating up into the sky. She's got this weird dream thing going on, upside down world or something, I don't know. And her friends rooting through, and they find this cassette tape, which is Hounds of Love. Stick it in a Walkman type device, put the headphones on her. I don't know how she holds it because she's passed out, but anyway, when she floats up, it's not hanging between her legs or anything, so they must have tucked it in her pocket or something like that. And as she's getting floated up, it starts playing Running Up the Hill. And if only could make a deal with God. That one. And she kind of brings her out of the trance she's in, and she sees her friends and herself floating, and she kind of heads for there while this monstery thing from looks like Attack of Titans is chasing her with these claw things. And it is a time warp. And even Kate Bush, when she's been interviewed recently, said it's bonkers. It's crazy that a clip of a TV show is making her lots and lots of money. But I wouldn't turn it down. Another thing that's making a comeback, but is nowhere near as much fun as Kate Bush or Strikes, is polio. Yeah, I know. Eradicated, been completely got rid of for a long, long while in the UK, but now it's back with a vengeance. Well, not really. They found samples of polio in the sewage of London, but multiple areas of London have got this polio sample in there, and they reckon it's because in the older days, i.e. when I got polio vaccinations, and mullet's about, I'm growing my mullet as well, the vaccination that they give you was actual polio. They actually give you the actual virus, and then, but not in a huge amount, obviously, because we'd all be dead, or we'd all be walking around with severe disabilities. But what they did was they give you that, and then your immune system fights it, kills it off, and then you're immune to it. Nowadays, you get a bit like the COVID vaccine, which I'm an expert at. Yeah, right. And it's not an actual polio virus. It's something that's your body thinks is a polio virus, and then fights that. And then if you do get polio or get contaminated with polio, your body fights it off. But in many, many countries, they're still doing it the old way. And what they're saying is someone's had it the old way, i.e. actual polio put into the bodies. They've not necessarily caught it because it's been in a minute quantity. They've then flown to the UK, and then obviously used the toilet like you do, and they found the virus in the sewage of London. I mean, God knows what they're looking for polio in the sewage of London for, but anyway, that's a story for another day. It's quite difficult to catch polio. It's the main problem with it was basically people drinking dirty water, no hygiene, that kind of thing, and that's probably one of the reasons why it's not as big now as it was. And obviously we've all been vaccinated, but because it's not been as big as it was for decades, there's younger generation, so if you're probably under the age of 20, there is a possibility that you're not fully vaccinated against polio. It's very unlikely you're going to catch it anyway, because most of the people around you will be, but they're now panicking a little bit. I mean, it's no monkeypox, let's be honest, and it's certainly no COVID. Oh yes, talking of stuff making a comeback. COVID's back. It never went away, let's be honest. But yeah, it's back. In the UK, the Netherlands, Belgium, Germany, Greece, Italy, Spain and France, cases are going up exponentially. Reasons for that are we're not doing anything to stop it doing that. And the other one is it's a new variant which is more catchable than previous variants, but is not as deadly. So what we need to look out for, and I've said this all along, if you go back through all my vlogs that I did, including lockdown vlogs, new normal vlogs, daily vlogs, weekly vlogs, this vlog. It's the hospitals we need to look at, and if the hospitals are getting full of people with COVID who are seriously ill, then we need to go back to where we were to slow it down. I'm not saying full lockdowns or anything like that, but face masks in confined spaces, washing your hands, 2 metre distance, basic stuff, not full lockdown, stay at home or you get shot in the head if you go out. But we're nowhere near that. The hospitals have got people in hospital, but a lot of them, as soon as you go into hospital, you get tested for COVID. People have gone in with other ailments, or broken leg, heart attack, whatever, been tested and they've proved to be positive, but they've got no symptoms. So it's not as serious as it was, but it's something to definitely keep an eye on. My argument has always been, and this is no different, if I have a heart attack, which is likely at my age, middle aged, I want to, or a stroke, and I get found by someone, which is an even bigger miracle, and then get taken to hospital, I want to be treated as soon as possible, because obviously you've got that golden hour of anything to be treated, and you're more likely to survive or be less impaired by whatever it is that's occurred. But if you're stuck outside an ambulance because the hospital's full of people with COVID and there's no spare beds, then people are going to die, not from COVID, but from normal things, because they can't get to the hospital. But we're not at that stage, so there's no need to panic. I haven't gotten back to wearing masks yet, but I'm very, very close to it again. I only stopped about 3 weeks ago. I almost feel like it's my fault it's come back. But it's not, because I've never been to Greece, Italy, Spain, Germany or Belgium or France. So you can't blame me for that. Mind you, it's a lot worse in Brazil. Now, it's always been bad in Brazil, but it is going up like crazy. And in China as well. They're on about maybe a lockdown in Beijing. But in Brazil, deaths are rapidly rising again. The president of Brazil, Looney Tunes I think he's called, has basically said no one needs to be vaccinated, blah 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 blah, it'll be fine, it's a myth, all that kind of stuff, despite the fact he's caught it twice and been hospitalised once. He's just not looking after his people. You can't tell us where you've not been. It ruins the surprise of the Let's Walk Around. Excuse me, they're called Let's Go To now, although I haven't really published them properly yet because I'm still working on my 4K, which reminds me, Exo Titan, thank you very much. Oh, you've been typing away there. Hi Kieran, hi Finks, hi Smiley Mac. So I'm just focusing on that side of the screen. I didn't see that side of the screen going away. We've had some by-elections. Now, what by-elections are they're elections for MPs who have stopped being an MP because they've died. In one case, they're in prison. They've been arrested for something and they're in prison. Or they've resigned for whatever reason, or they become ill. So it's not like a general election, it's just one or two. And there were two elections. I'm alright, Smiley Mac. There was two elections. One was in Wakefield and one was in Dorset. Now the Wakefield one, I know Wakefield well, was won by Labour. Now, I remember when Tony Blair, no, not Tony Blair, yeah, it was Tony Blair. Tony Blair was in as Prime Minister, and there were by-elections, and they were losing them because it was mid-term and people protest vote by quite big amounts. Not as big as the other one, which I'll come to in a bit, but by big amounts. But people, when they vote in by-elections, don't necessarily vote the way they'd vote in a general election, and we've seen that so many times. You Google it, it doesn't take much to figure out. What's happened here is Wakefield, for just short of 100 years, has been a Labour stronghold because it's up north in Yorkshire, and Conservatives won it in 2019. Then you've had COVID, then you've had Brexit, the other way around, then you've had Partygate, then you've had what's the current one? Oh yeah, the war in Ukraine. You've had prices going up again exponentially, so people are going to protest. Then you got bumbling Boris wandering around going bumble bumble bumble. So, and it's a Labour stronghold. So it's no surprise that Labour have won it back again. Oh, and the actual MP is in prison for whatever reason. I've no idea. So yeah, obviously that is going to go back to Labour. And Keir Starmer's like, oh yeah, we're back, blah blah blah. I'm like, no, you're a boring old fart. I wouldn't vote for you if you were the last man on earth. I mean, I'm pretty sure that before the last election, Corbyn was winning. Well, not him, but people were winning Labour seats off Conservatives when Corbyn was in charge. And then when we had the general election, poof, gone. So then you've had a fuel at 250 a litre. No, that's coming from month's time. Next week, mate, not a month. But like I've shown already, if you watched this from the beginning, there are protests all over the world about rising prices. It's a global thing. It's not a national thing. It's okay. The government could possibly and should remove a lot of the tax on fuel, but then they need that money to pay for stuff that they're giving elsewhere, because money doesn't come from nowhere. But they were making enough money before the price went up, and they make a percentage of the price. So if something's worth £1 and say they make 40p on that, when it's worth £2 they're making 80p on that, but it's still the same thing. So they're doubling what they're making, but people are only buying the same amount. So maybe what they should do is reduce it so that they're still making 40p a litre, but instead of paying £2 we're only paying £1.60 or whatever, and do it that way. That would be the way I'd do it if I was in charge. Like, okay, then for the last 5 years we've earned so many billion off fuel. We're now earning considerably more billion off it because the price has gone up, but people are struggling. So why don't we just knock the price down so we go to where we were before the price went up, but we're still making the same money. The government is not losing money, but the people who use cars for work, for businesses, like lorry drivers and stuff like that, workers from nurses, hospitals, doctors, all that kind of stuff, they save money, but the government don't lose money. That's the way I do it, but I'm not the Chancellor of the Exchequer. To be fair, if I was, you'd be paying a lot more tax. I'm joking. My method, electric cars are not the future. DC, stop it. You'll be mentioning Mario 64 next. Electric cars are not the future. Electric cars are a bigger burden on the planet because we have to dig up all these precious metals from all over the world, ship them all together, make batteries, put the batteries in cars. Cars are more explosive when they have a crash. When the batteries run out, where do you put the batteries? In the meantime, you've then got to build all the infrastructure with all the cables and all the plastic coating on the cables for all the hubs to go everywhere for people to charge the cars up. It's bull electric. Do it for certain vehicles, do it for buses, do it for lorries if you need to, but don't do it for cars. Hydrogen, green hydrogen is the way forward, and companies are looking at that. Anyway, hi JT. Yeah, Phoenix, you're right. That's exactly what I've just said, basically. But the Liberal Democrats, going back to the election, in Tiverton, who knew? They got a 24,000, nearly 25,000 majority from Conservatives, and turned that into a nearly 7,000 majority for their candidate. Now, I mean, I don't want to, say anything about anyone, but that was the guy who won. I mean, he couldn't look more Lib Dem if he tried, could he? And they come up with this stupid prop thing. Now, remember when they won another by-election, they had these plastic brick things which were not environmentally friendly, which they then hit with a mallet, and they were blue bricks, and were breaking down the blue wall. And now they've got, it's time to show Boris the door. I'm sure Boris knows where the door is, but showing him isn't going to get anywhere. You need to push him through it. But who do you have coming in the door? Don't forget, the leader of the Liberal Democrats and the leader of the Labour Party are both Knights of the Realm. The only commoner of the top three parties, scarily, sorry, I got completely distracted then because DC's agreed with something I've said. You still use fossil fuel to charge them. You do, but obviously that's getting greener. Although I've never really seen, if we talk about energy, having wind turbines that are fucking huge, made of metal. Where's the metal come from? And loads of plastic as well. All with loads of equipment inside that do the generators and all that kind of stuff. So you've got all the copper and everything inside them as well. I've never figured out how they're environmentally friendly, because you have to maintain them. You have to get massive cranes to put them up and all that kind of stuff. I hate to say it, but nuclear is looking the better option, because when it's not windy, and we've all driven along motorways recently, or been on trains, or looked out the window, those wind turbines don't work when it's not windy. And solar power is a waste of time in the UK. Let's be honest, it's dark most of the time. So nuclear is the only option for electricity, but it takes ages to build them. We need Elon Musk to build them little ones. Then we can all have one in our shed in the back garden or something. Solar and tidal. Nah, solar now, not in the UK. Tidal, possibly. I like them screws that they have. Again, I mentioned this before. If you've watched this all the time, I'm sorry that I'm repeating myself, but obviously we get new people joining all the time. But there's an estate. I don't think it's that. It's in the northwest. I'm sure it's in the northwest, and they've got. I think it's a river, or it could even be a canal, that goes past these houses, and they've kind of channeled off some of this water, and it goes through these pipes. Inside the pipe is like a corkscrew, and when the water goes through it, it turns the corkscrew, not very quickly, but quick enough to generate electricity, which is then piped to the houses nearby. Undersea corkscrew turbines. I think Phoenix is either watching this, sat in the room next door, because he's answering really quickly what I'm saying, or he's psychic and knows what's going on in my head, which is even more disturbing, to be fair. But yeah, I don't think the Liberal Democrats or Labour are viable leaders of the country. And I know Boris is a bumbling idiot, but we know what he's like. We know he's crap. I think we just better stick with him for the time being until someone else pops up. I did say Rishi Sunak for a while, but let's be honest. Yeah. People of Glastonbury. It's back. Never been. I've only ever been to one festival, and that was Download in 2007 with my then 15-year-old daughter, to see Linkin Park, My Chemical Romance, and Iron Maiden, amongst many others. They were the headliners for the 3 nights. And it's one of the best experiences I've ever had. Glastonbury, however, nah. I'll watch it on the telly if I'm not that I'm even doing that. But they've been given a warning, all the people gone to Glastonbury, about monkeypox, because they're all rubbing up against each other, because that's how tight it is, and that's how you catch monkeypox. So if someone's got a blister on their arm and you rub against them and burst the blister, and the stuff ends up on your arm, you've got monkeypox, and then so on and so forth. So they reckon there might be something going on there. I imagine there's probably going to be a spike in COVID as well. Although, remember what they used to say, COVID is blown away by, if you go outdoors, COVID is blown away by open spaces. Because it kind of goes, hey man, look at this space, it's amazing, it's so much better than being in a house. And it forgets to transmit and, get other people. Oh no, don't tell me the screen's frozen. Oh, I hate it when it does that. Can you still hear me though? Can you still hear me, mother? Yeah, you can hear me. Right, that is a shame, because we are going to... what I'm going to do is, I'm going to stop it and then start it again, because that generally works. So don't go anywhere. I'll be back. Playing on the phone, not TV. Right, okay. Right, I should be back. I don't know whether I am or not. I've got myself in a right muck and fuddle here. Hang on. Oh, there it is. Right, am I back? Am I back? Hello? 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 Yeah, it'll catch up. It'll catch up. Right. So, Glastonbury, as I was saying. Yeah, you could get monkeypox or COVID. Or polio. Let's be honest, the hygiene there is zilch. When I was at Download, the toilets were basically you see the tractors in the countryside when they're pulling them trailers with carrots in and they're like dead eye up. They were like that but green. You go in and there was literally a hole. There was like a platform with a seat on and doors, and then just a hole, and you just poo through the hole, and then you look down the hole and you see everyone else's poo and wee and everything. Yeah, something like that. But yeah, that was an interesting experience. Was Download. I'd do it again. I probably would go to Download rather than this one. Anyway, technically now, Glastonbury, where vegans ignore the fact they are on a working dairy farm to see Coldplay. It's brilliant. I like that. Have we missed anything out? I don't think so. But don't forget, we've got this whole new feature now, which is called Meanwhile in America. Now, what I've been doing is I've been scouring the American media for stories that we've not been told about, because either A, they're irrelevant, or B, they're irrelevant. More communication this week, but I can't tell you anything. But it's not a progress. Funnily enough, I'm coming. I'll be talking about that. But first, let's look at some more silly things that are going on in America. For example, I visited an ancient pyramid. I think that's a bit. No. Go away. Click on that. Shrink that down a bit. And then swap that out. There you go. I visited an ancient pyramid and suddenly I can speak an alien language. Yeah, I wouldn't mind, but she looks quite sensible. But apparently not. A 45-year-old claims in a viral TikTok videos that she can communicate with extraterrestrials. Sorry. You visited Pound Bakery and got open. Love it. And then we've got this one, which is awfully. A 90-year-old woman fights off a bear with a lawn chair. Now, I don't know if you've seen that video of that old guy in Australia who hits a crocodile on the nose a couple of times and the crocodile runs off. Well, in America, they do it with bears and chairs because it rhymes. It makes more sense. I'm a middle-aged woman who wants attention. He's a dude. He is a dude. Cops bust down the door to save a woman crying help, and then find out it's a parrot. So basically, this police officer has smashed a door down, and he's got inside to save this elderly woman who's screaming help, and it's a parrot. Now, something similar happened to my mother. She's a little bit confused these days. I said these days, she hasn't been for years. And she rang the police, and then put the phone down on them. So they had to smash into her apartment. It was very bonkers. Anyway, also going on in or being reported in America is China have launched Fujian, its third and most advanced aircraft carrier. Remember, this is China who are not going to go to war and not take Taiwan. They've just launched this huge aircraft carrier. So yeah, world peace and all that kind of stuff. What's next? Oh yeah, we're talking about all the cancellations and everything. And people said, oh, it's Brexit, oh, it's Boris, oh, blah, 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 blah. It's all over the world. Flight cancellations continue at LaGuardia in New York airport. 15% of all flights were cancelled, and another 6% were delayed. And again, that's all over America. It's just one airport that's being mentioned there. Then, record diesel prices could lead to food shortages in US, farmers warn. Average diesel prices on Monday reached $5.70, making it more expensive for farmers to plant and harvest crops. Now, a gallon is considerably more than a litre, so it's still considerably cheaper there than what it is over here. And my argument has always been, when the price goes up, generally it only goes up by a few pence. So you're only paying a few pence more than what you would have been paying before per litre. The only problem is it's doing it every week, so it's going up a lot, but individually it's not going up that much, so I really don't see the argument. Your girlfriend's coming from Chicago on Thursday. Well, hopefully it'll be alright. It's whether she can get in England when she gets. I think that's the problem. Then you got this. Now what the hell's this? Yeah, but the Royal Navy is launching the HMS Prince Andrew. Very young crew, very good. Air Force makes the world's saddest PB&J sandwich. Now I've no idea what a PB&J sandwich is, other than it says 2 slices of Wonder Bread, a dollop of chunky Jif peanut butter, and globs of Smucker grape jelly melded together to create one of the most delicious and iconic meals in America's history. But apparently the Air Force make the world's crappiest ones. Now I thought Wonder Bread had gone bust. I watch Abandoned Engineering, and they showed the Wonder Bread factory. It doesn't exist anymore. Well, it does, but there's nothing in there. And they were the people who used to make Twinkies, but Twinkies, the brand, got bought out by another company, and they kind of reintroduced Twinkies, because obviously Twinkies are much more healthy for you than bread. But yeah, they do look horrible. I thought it was some kind of sweet potato or something, and they genuinely look like raspberries, not raspberry jelly. So I've got no idea what that's about, but I just thought it was horrible. Right, remember the lady before, whom can speak alien languages, and the woman who's 90 who can beat bears off, who were misses, with a chair. Brave on many levels. What about this one? The original... Oh no, it's the wrong one, that. Hang on, I'll come back to that one in a minute. Where's she gone? There she is. That her? That's her. No, that's her. That's the one. I was kicked out of a restaurant for being too sexy and underdressed, it says. And then the small writing, the woman claims she had been sitting there enjoying a meal for several hours before she was asked to leave. Right, if you're in a restaurant for several hours, I would ask you to leave. If you're in my shop for several hours, I'd ask you to leave. You don't... And then she's complaining about it, and she says it's because she's too beautiful, and she was making all the other women in the shop look unbeautiful. Right, if you've ever watched Jaws, the Steven Spielberg movie, with the really fantastic animatronics, to be fair, of the time, 47 years ago, so it would have been done nearly 50 years ago, because obviously it takes a while to make the things, film them, edit them, and then get them out. So it's the 47th anniversary. It's probably the 50th anniversary of them actually starting to make the model. Now this is the first victim. So this is it was a young lady on the cover of on the poster with the shark coming up and the first one to be eaten by the shark. She's going to appear in court after being arrested on battery charges. Sadly, it wasn't a bear or a policeman. It wasn't a bear or a policeman. It wasn't a bear or a crocodile she battered. It was some relative or something. I don't know. But either way, it's quite sad. How's about this? Chicago cops. Oh, it's froze again. No. It has. It's froze again. Right, I'll go away and come back. Right, so Chicago cops are barred from chasing people on foot who run away. So, if you are being chased by the police in Chicago and you run away, you will not be chased. I mean, it's, yeah, you won't even get a fine. They will not chase you. You are free. If you can start running, they ain't gonna chase you. But they have 1p. The Chicago Police Department introduced a new policy prohibiting its officers from chasing people on foot simply because they run away or if they have committed a minor offence. So if you nicked a bag of jam donuts from Greg's and then you leg it, the cop will be like, fine. Yeah, I think, no, thing to bear in mind is they do have tasers and they do have guns. Doesn't say they can't shoot you, but they can't chase you. Maybe that's what they've been told. Oh, just shoot the fuckers anyway, you know. Only in America. Talking of which, Katy Perry argues with a hostess, waitress, over table and then tips her for normal treatment. So this young lady here is a waitress, hostess, in America, and she had an argument with Katy Perry. Did somebody say just eat? And because she treated her like a normal person, Katy Perry gave her a big tip. I mean, to be fair, Katy Perry's not that current apart from a Just Eat advert, so that young girl probably doesn't even know who Katy Perry is. Probably thought she was just a stuck-up cow who'd come into a restaurant. Either way, she's come out well out of it. Also, in America, dentists warn of lasting risk. These are getting... There we go. From viral balsamic vinegar soda trend. So there's... Katy Perry gives me a big tip. Very good. So, creepy guy there, or it could be a girl, not sure. They're now doing this balsamic vinegar soda. And the Americans have to be warned that drinking lots of balsamic vinegar could affect their teeth. What was it they were being told last week? Or the week before, I can't remember what it was now. There's something else we were being told. Oh yeah, don't let your kids eat batteries. Ugh, that was that's just like common sense, isn't it? I mean, you know, you might do it for a video, but you wouldn't do it every day for a month, and then wonder where your teeth have gone. Yeah, don't let the kids eat batteries. That was it. So, they have to be. Yeah, remember to every few seconds go, and then go. They'd be told that next. I'm not saying the Americans are thick, but you know. Here we go. It's not been reported over here, but Finland are planning hydrogen network for cleaner, self-reliant future. Now, they obviously watch my live streams and think, that English guy, he talks French. They're a bit Dutch as well. And yeah, that's the future. And I don't see why no one else can see that. President Biden, oh, what's he been up to? There's a massive shortage in America of baby formula. Scottish. Nicola Sturgeon, yeah. They're importing it from all over the world. And it just seems a bit silly that a country as big as America hasn't got enough baby formula for the babies. Either that or they're just all in each other. I wonder if they make a useless bike lane. Possibly. Gun laws. Marjorie Taylor Greene tells a reporter to go back to your country in gun debate. She made the remarks during a press briefing on Wednesday. I think it was a Channel 4 reporter. And she basically told him to come back to the UK if he doesn't want to be in America where people can have guns. Bearing in mind that they have voted now, or they're trying to vote, to make anyone under the age of 21 have to go through more rigorous checks to get a gun, because you could literally walk into Walmart and buy a gun when you're 18. What could possibly go wrong? Anyway, we'll see. There's 14 nurses pregnant at the same time in a Missouri hospital. Now, they've not looked into this, but I'm pretty sure that Boris Johnson visited a Missouri hospital when he was on holiday a few months ago in America. So I think we might know who the dad is. Allegedly. Now, here's the worst possible thing ever. Amazon's Alexa could soon let you speak to the dead. So, I don't know how it works, but basically it recreates the voice of the dead person. So I would assume that the dead person, it would have to be the dead person's device, and it listens to them talking and whatever. Worse than a multiple baby Boris. Yeah, scary. So obviously not your great grandma or anything like that, but certainly your parents or siblings or whatever, if they've got modern technology, you could be having conversations with them after they're dead. I mean, why is that even a thought? Why is that just not? That's just beyond creepy. I mean, I think it's creepy when people go and put flowers on graves every 5 minutes, and I think it's even creepy when in South American countries, and I think it might be in Italy as well, I'm not sure, they actually get the bones out and clean the bones of the bodies once a year and then put them back again. I'm like, no, once you're dead, you're dead. That is it. The end. Done. And people who wish people, who, you know, like celebrities, it would have been David Bowie's birthday today. Happy birthday wherever you are. He's dead. Let's concentrate on the people who are alive. But yeah, you can have a conversation with dead relatives and friends. It is creepy that they always listen 99% of the time. I had a guy staying with me a few years ago, and he come downstairs one day, and he said something to me that he'd never said before. He'd been in his room, and I don't know what he'd been doing, but he come downstairs and he said, have you ever had a problem with ingrowing hairs? And I went, sorry? He went, ingrowing hairs, have you ever had a problem with them? And I went, no. I said, it's not something I've ever had an issue with that I'm aware of anyway. And that was the end of the conversation. Didn't go any further than that, because he just kind of went, oh, never mind, and then went back upstairs. Didn't see him again all night. Later on, about an hour later, I picked my phone up, I switched on YouTube, and the first video that was recommended was how to cope with ingrowing hairs. Now, I've never mentioned ingrowing hairs, I've never searched ingrowing hairs, I never had a conversation about ingrowing hairs. It had never shown up on my timeline before, but all of a sudden, Google, oh, you talked about ingrowing hairs, you must have a problem with it. And there was a video, top video, ingrowing hair. And I was like, that can't be right. That is creepy as hell. And you can do it. You can do it yourself with random stuff. Just talk about something random for a couple of minutes, and then just see if it pops up on your timeline. Now, one of the things I've been going on about again for a while, particularly after the pandemic, or during the pandemic, was the fact that they're building all these office blocks everywhere, and people don't want them anymore now because you can work from home. So you only need, instead of going to the office 5 times a week, you only probably need to go in 2 or 3 times a week, if that, or 2 or 3 times a month. So the big companies don't need a desk for everyone. They don't need massive office space. All they need is a desk that people can share, and somewhere to have meetings, and that's it. So you drastically shrink down your area, saves on energy costs, saves on transport kind of to the environment, and it saves on rent and rates and all that kind of gubbins. And I've been going on about it for ages. And in America, landlords are looking for fresh uses for office blocks because people are moving out in their droves. They're coming up with ideas that are just really bonkers. But there's something to me, something different, but it has happened. Yeah, you're on about the things listening to you and then recommending something. Yeah, it's weird. But yeah, office spaces, they're still building them in Manchester and all that, and they're building massive apartment blocks as well. And I'm like, you don't need to live in an apartment block in Manchester if you work in Manchester now. You can buy a nice house for less money than an apartment in an apartment block in the suburbs, in the countryside, and you can commute in a couple of times a month, a couple of times a week, whatever, and live more comfortably. So why would you buy apartments? And people who bought apartments for lots of money, I think, will end up losing money in the long run as they become less desirable because more people work from home. It's the changing world. Like we said before about the RMT, the world's changing. Nothing we can do to stop that. It's just one of them things. One thing that was a thing a while ago was they put little plastic beads in things, so you could get some shower gel with little plastic beads in. So when when you're having a shower, the beads kind of massage you, and then they wash away down the drains, and then they get in the water supply and they kill the fish. Or alternatively, when you get your lovely fish fingers from own brand supermarket, whatever, you cut it open and there's like little different coloured beads in there of someone's shampoo. But no, it gets better than that. Woman claims microbeads got stuck in her face after using damaging scrub. So she's now suing a company who have sold her this scrub with these beads in it, and I don't know what she's done because I've never had a problem with it, and I've got crap skin, I'll be honest with you. She's rubbed it in that hard, it's gotten into her skin. Well, surely that's her own fault for misuse. Then again, what do I know? Here's another thing in America. They have to be told this in America. God, only in America. Co-sleeping with babies increases the risk of suffocation death. New US guidelines. It's released a parental alert for safe sleeping with infants and toddlers. No poo, Sherlock. Yeah, well, can you imagine if your bed has got batteries in it as well, and microbeads? Oh my God! Oh, you'd be deported, wouldn't you? Right. It was asked earlier what my opinion was on the abortion thing going through. With immediate effect, because of the judgment that came out today, or yesterday, because it's America, or today, I don't know. Abortions now are illegal in Texas. But I get it just for willy-nilly things, excuse the pun. But there are genuine reasons why people have to have abortions. The health of the baby, the health of the mother, the way the person got pregnant, could have been an assault of some kind. There's loads of different reasons why it's completely legitimate to do abortions. But now in America you can't. So there are going to be unwanted babies born. And I think it should be up to the person, the individual, to decide whether or not they want to have a baby when they've got pregnant. And I don't understand. I don't understand Americans, I'll be honest with you. I mean, the gun laws that they come up with. We're having all these mass shootings. Yeah, exactly. The women over there are terrified. Now, we had this problem in Ireland, Southern Ireland. Abortion was illegal in Southern Ireland. So you had what they called backstreet abortionists, which was basically some old woman with a knitting needle and God knows what else. And she'd perform this abortion with no medical training, with no medication, and people were dying from it. It just seems that America at the moment is on a self-destruct mission. It's like it's trying to destroy itself from the inside. And you've got all these women shouting. I mean, I don't understand Americans. You go to abortion clinics in America and they're all stood outside and they're all holding placards and they're all screaming abuse at these poor women who are in such a state that their life has come to this choice, which is not the easiest choice you've had to make. I know people who've had abortions and it's not an easy choice to make. And they're being abused by people. Now, if that was a non... I don't know how to say this without sounding... what's the word? Yeah, if a woman is attacked, she has to have the baby. That's what I'm on about. That's what was happened in Ireland. Now I think you can have abortions. People were flying over to England to have an abortion and then flying back again because that was legal. And you could, I dare say, you could drive from one state to another state, but it's always Texas. It's always Texas. Are they all backward in Texas? You know, it's. I mean, the one of the most racist. Their gun laws. I mean, everyone's got about 5 guns on them at any one time. They did this. They actually come up with this law to stop people having abortions in Texas, but couldn't put it in because it wasn't a federal law. But now, yes, they are backward in Texas. But now you can. But can you imagine if I was stood outside somewhere and I started shouting at abuse at someone who's a minority for whatever reason, be it race, sexuality, religion, whatever, I'd be drawn over the coals by these same people who shout abuse at women who have not likely made a choice to have an abortion. I don't get it. I just don't get Americans. And that woman who I was talking about before, who told the English reporter to get back to your own country. Yeah, gladly. I genuinely do not understand Americans. I'm lost for words on this one. I mean, Nancy Pelosi, she was almost in tears today. But they have made a bit of progress with the bipartisan gun control bill. But it doesn't mean it's going to become law. But this is one where you have to go through a few more checks if you're the under age of 21. Now, in America, for most of the states in America, if you're 18 or whatever, you can buy a gun, you can buy a semi-automatic rifle or whatever, but you can't. So you could go into Walmart. I mean, I'm not quoting facts here. I'm just surmising, or whatever. But go into Walmart, you could buy yourself a semi-automatic weapon, a couple of pistols, loads of ammo. But on the way out, you can't buy yourself a beer because you've got to be 21 to have a beer. I mean, America, what are you doing? Seriously, what are you doing? You kind of deserve yourselves. The only problem is the gun crime is killing innocent children, and the school recently, they were terrified. They were ringing up the parents. They were ringing up the police, screaming and shouting because they were watching their friends being executed in front of them, while the police were stood outside doing nothing for an hour. I mean, what is wrong? I could buy a firearm. Yeah. It's so scary. But they don't see it. They think they're the greatest country in the world. I mean, they're not the worst country in the world, don't get me wrong. But they're certainly not the brightest country in the world. And that is what is terrifying with America. Anyway, we can't be slagging off America for too long. So, I normally do these for an hour. Not for an hour, for half an hour. But I know we're well over an hour now. We're at least an hour and 10 minutes in. So we'll do a very quick recap. Start off with stories I don't care about. Wayne Rooney has resigned as the manager of Derby County. Could not care less. Meanwhile, Vincent Kompany has become the manager of Burnley. Yeah, I care. I care lots and lots and lots. We're having a good debate. We are having a good debate. I do like it when there's lots of people joining in the debate. It's like a mass debate together. That is good. I like that. Bit longer, yeah. It doesn't help with the freezing though, does it? If it freezes again, I'm going to end it. But anyway, I'm not going to kill myself. I'm going to end the broadcast. Macron has lost his majority, even though he only won the election a couple of months ago. He's now lost the majority. I don't get it. EasyJet are going to ruin lots of people's holidays by cancelling loads and loads and loads of flights over the next few months, weeks, particularly during the school holidays. Meanwhile, I didn't mention this, but British Airways ground staff are going on strike as well. So that's going to ruin more holidays, bearing in mind there's already enough. PSM marrying an American. It's alright, bring her over here and she could become British. That's fine. But don't let Priti Patel find out because she might end up in Rwanda. We're going to go to war, apparently, according to our new leader of the army. He's told all the British troops and all people in the British Army to prepare for European war against Russia, and even named Russia as the protagonist that we're going to go up against. Meanwhile, in Lithuania, they've stopped supplies going through their country from Belarus to Kaliningrad, which is a Russian outpost. And Russia have said this is going to end badly for Lithuania, but I don't think Russia at the moment has got enough firepower to do anything to Lithuania at the present. Meanwhile, in Europe, we've had Netherlands farmers going on strike over fuel prices. We've had where are we? That's America. We won't bother with that. We've had the European Court of Human Rights stepping in, rightly or wrongly, but interfering with stuff that's not necessarily anything to do with them, although technically it is because we all have human rights. Talking of human rights, they finally apologised and put a permanent memorial up to the Windrush generation but bizarrely, instead of being a port, it's in Waterloo Station. Okay, more people will see it, but it does seem a bit strange. Lots of people have seen Joe Lycett. One person was that offended by one of the jokes, they reported him to the police, and he actually got questioned by the police. You pay your money, you get what you get. It's Joe Lycett. You ain't going to be a nice kind of person. Tragedy is striking in Afghanistan. Up to the start of this broadcast, 2 earthquakes have decimated the country. One of the poorest countries in the world, sadly not helped by the fact it's run by the Taliban. Meanwhile, in Britain, the RMT are striking, but it's not about money, although they've said 3% is rubbish and they want 7%. It's about safety. Yeah, make your minds up. The leader of the MUT, Bet Lynch, it's not called Bet Lynch, but it's just funny. He's a 70s throwback. 70s throwback. And he's even got a 70s throwback minder as well. No shop news, no. Nothing I can talk about anyway, unfortunately. Talking of throwbacks, we've got Kate Bush running up that hill and running up the charts, #1 yet again. We've also got, where are we? There we go. We've got the return of polio, which has found its way back into the UK. Discussed at length why. Something else that's growing rapidly is COVID. The COVID throughout Europe is just spiking again, but it's not affecting the hospitals at the moment. However, in Mexico it is, and sadly people are dying again in copious amounts. Glastonbury's on, which is good news. We do like Glastonbury. Lots of stuff going on there, but they've been warned about monkeypox, COVID, and just having fun, because you're not allowed to do that anymore now, are you? One thing I didn't mention, which I should have mentioned, is that the elections, by-elections, Labour won Wakefield back, which was like one of the biggest non-surprises ever. Be interesting to see whether they keep it or not in the next general election. And the prop department of the Lib Dems come up with this pathetic door. It's time to show Boris the door. I mean, it's so lame, it's unbelievable. And let's be honest, the guy who's the new MP, who's nearest me, he couldn't be more Lib Dem if he tried. Meanwhile, in avoiding all the trouble in Rwanda, ironically, in Kigali, you've got the Prime Minister, he's not just gone there to get away from everything, he's actually gone there for a meeting with other leaders of the world, and he's also had a meeting with Prince Charles, who's soon going to be King Charles, Spaniel. Oh no, that's his wife, sorry. And that could be an interesting conversation they would have had, because I don't think they agree on much. And I think that is a very quick roundup of what's been going on. I can't comment on that. It's very complicated. Anyway, that is it for tonight. So, huge thanks to Angela, DC, Kieran. Have you changed your name? Yeah, Phoenix Hero. You've changed your name during the course of the night. Smiley Mac, unless you're two different people, in which case I'll say Finks Hero and Phoenix Hero. DC number. JT. Tough if you're around as well. It has been good. I've quite enjoyed it. To be fair, you know, I write stuff down on my little list. Well, it was quite bare up to a couple of days ago, and then I've had to squeeze them in around the top, and I've had to do things on 2 lines. It's like there was no news, and it just went like that with news. So yeah, I kind of got myself a bit bogged down with the old news. But no, it's been fun. I do appreciate you joining in. We've had only 31 views overall. We need to get this a bit bigger, don't we? So we can have a larger debate with a mass of people. That'd be fun. But yeah, it's all good. Pardon me, I've got wind now. So I'm going to leave it there. I will see you all again next time, all being well. And in a week's time, we will have another look and see what a week that was. I'll be seeing you. Until then, bye.